Greetings, this is Reverend Yue McCormick of True Vow Temple. In this presentation, I will review the milestones of Buddhist practice and development regarding attaining and maintaining life in the realms of humanity and heaven. I hope to clarify how we can use these teachings as a tool to reflect on the progress of our own practice. Traditionally, the aim of Buddhist practice is to escape from samsara, the cycle of birth and death among the 6 paths of becoming. These 6 paths are depicted on the Wheel of Becoming as the paths of the hell dwellers, hungry ghosts, animals, asuras, or fighting demons, humanity, and heavenly beings, and the gods. According to Buddhism, we will wander through these different realms from lifetime to lifetime, and even from moment to moment, until we can spiritually awaken as the Buddha did. Awakening and liberation from these paths involve 4 higher realms. I will describe those realms and how to achieve them in the next presentation. For now, I want to share the Buddha's teachings about how to make the best of life within the 6 realms. In terms of the 6 realms, Buddhism views the human realm as the best one to be in if one is going to aspire to and attain spiritual awakening. This is because, though the human realm is not always pleasant, human beings can at least reason and consider the law of cause and effect, and have the opportunity to create just and peaceful societies, even if they choose not to. Unlike realms of the hell dwellers, hungry ghosts, or animals, overwhelming suffering is not usually the norm of existence. Unlike the realm of the fighting demons or the gods, the human realm is more obviously a realm of vulnerability and impermanence. We live at most 120 years, so we cannot be complacent either. This balance between relative stability and usually manageable suffering creates an environment where people can and do aspire to attain liberation from the wheel and can take up spiritual practice in earnest. What are the causes for attaining and maintaining the life condition of humanity? For that, the Buddha taught 5 precepts that are part of most moral and ethical codes around the world. If we refrain from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and taking intoxicants, we are making the karmic cause to be reborn as a human. We should not be too rigid, judgmental, or self-righteous about any of these. These guidelines are very general, but life is complex. Some other time I will say more about these specifically. Put simply, if you want to have a human life condition, live a humane life. It doesn't matter what religion you are, or even if you don't have any religion. A good cause is a good cause. A bad cause is a bad cause. The great master Tiantai saw an equivalence between these 5 basic moral precepts and the 5 constant virtues taught in Confucianism. The 5 constant virtues are benevolence, righteousness, propriety, knowledge, and faithfulness. Regarding benevolence, in The Great Calming and Contemplation, Juri wrote, "Treating people with benevolent humaneness and nurturing others without bringing them harm corresponds to the first precept to abstain from killing." This hardly needs comment. Regarding righteousness, Juri wrote, "Yielding to what is dutiful and honest, and sacrificing yourself to favor others, corresponds to the precept to abstain from taking what is not given." Basically, I take this to mean that righteousness is to maintain one's integrity, foster justice, and to be altruistic rather than egoistic. Regarding propriety, Juri wrote, "Keeping propriety and behaving according to social custom, such as binding up your hair in preparation for marriage, corresponds to the third precept, to abstain from sexual misconduct." Though this has been narrowly concerned with sexual propriety, I would like to say that propriety is really about knowing how to do the right thing at the right time. It is about little things and big things. It is to open a door for someone behind you. It is to say please and thank you. It is to not come into a restaurant and order food 5 minutes before closing. It is about knowing how to host a meeting or a dinner party so that no one feels awkward, embarrassed, or confused. It is all the common courtesies that make civilized life possible and show that we have consideration for others. Regarding knowledge, Juri wrote, "To have clear and sharp knowledge like a mirror, to be straightforward in your actions, and to act in accordance with the principles of the path, corresponds to the 5th precept to abstain from consuming intoxicants." This is not wisdom in the Buddhist sense of the perfection of wisdom that brings liberation from suffering. This is the wisdom to know right from wrong and to have clear practical knowledge of what does or does not need to be done in any given situation. Regarding faithfulness, Juri wrote, To keep tokens of trust, to record things truthfully, and to act sincerely without taking advantage of others corresponds to the fourth precept, to abstain from lying. Basically, faithfulness means to be honest and faithful to one's word so that there can be a foundation of trust in all one's relationships. This is all pretty straightforward. The path of humanity is the path of not harming others and cultivating benevolence, and if not selflessness, at least enlightened self-interest. Still, what if one aspires to attain rebirth in heaven? For many people, the Buddha did not teach the Four Noble Truths right from the start. Instead, he taught them to make the good causes of being generous, living a virtuous life, and to keep the heavenly realms in one's thoughts. He also taught the limitations and dangers of sensual pleasures, and the corresponding blessings of a life of simplicity. These teachings were consistent with what was already being taught in his time, and are consistent with those of most religions today. The only difference may be that the Buddha did not restrict heavenly salvation to any particular religion, nor did one need to perform any particular rituals or devotion to any particular god or gods. If you are charitable, live a moral life, and aspire to heavenly salvation by overcoming temptation, vanity, and greed, you are making the causes for a heavenly rebirth. You don't need to be anything other than heavenly to get into heaven. In Buddhism, however, there are many heavens of increasing refinement. So which one do you want to go to? To begin with, there are the heavens of the realm of desire. The realm of desire extends from the lowest hells to the first 6 heavens. These are all within the realm of desire, because all those within them are governed by their desire for sensual pleasures. Those in the lower realms suffer because they are not getting what they desire, but receiving what they don't want, while those in the heavens are getting their desires as a long-lasting, but still impermanent, reward for good causes. The heavens of desire are equivalent to Mount Olympus, Asgard, or the Vedic heaven of the 33, ruled over by thunder gods such as Zeus, Thor, or Indra, the last of whom is present on the Omandala Gohonzon, as are the gods of the sun, moon, and stars, who also belong to this realm, and who are subservient to Indra. The causes to be reborn in such a heaven or attain such a life condition would be to cultivate the 10 good acts, also called the 10 courses of wholesome conduct. They are to refrain or abstain from committing the 10 evil acts. They are to abstain from killing, abstain from taking what is not given, abstain from sexual misconduct, abstain from lying, abstain from malicious speech, abstain from harsh speech, and abstain from idle chatter, to abstain from covetousness, to abstain from ill will, and to abstain from wrong views. The last 3 of the 10 good acts are sometimes given as abstaining from greed, hatred, and delusion, which are the 3 poisons. Interestingly, the 6th and highest of these belongs to Mara, the devil king of the 6th heaven, whose mission is to keep beings entangled by their desires in the 6 paths of rebirth. He personifies the difficulties of hearing the Dharma, listening and understanding it, putting it into practice, and continuing to practice until we attain awakening. The next 2 sets of heavens I will talk about are above the heavens of Mara. These heavens represent mental and emotional states wherein one has temporarily risen above sensual craving and ill will. The problem is that because one is not awakened, ignorance about the true nature of reality persists, as does a subtle egoism. One also may easily gain an attachment to these heavenly states of mind, a kind of spiritual materialism. In addition, sensual craving and ill will have not been permanently defeated. They are in a state of latency and can manifest again when causes and conditions change. So as wonderful as any of the heavens are, the desire realm heavens are still within the domain of Mara, and the next 2 sets of heaven represent only a temporary escape from the influence of delusion that he represents. By the way, Mara is also on the Omandala Gohonzon, because even he is illuminated by the Odaimoku, and he will eventually attain Buddhahood, though by that time he will have passed on his office and duties to some other being. Next, there are the heavens of the realm of form. The realm of form consists of 18 heavens wherein the inhabitants have bodies but are not overcome by sensual desire. The first 3 of these heavens are the heavens of Brahma, the Vedic creator god, and his officials and followers. In Buddhism, there are many Brahma gods, because there is one for each world, and there are many worlds. I should point out that from the Buddha's perspective, Brahma is not the actual creator of the world. He just thinks he is. But that is a talk for another time. Brahma is also on the Omandala Gohonzon. Entrance into these heavens requires more than just good deeds or being charitable. It requires a good attitude. Shakyamuni Buddha taught that one can attain a state in this life corresponding to these heavens by cultivating boundless loving-kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. By cultivating these 4 divine abodes, one is making the cause to become like Brahma and be reborn in the heavens of Brahma. The 4 divine abodes are also called the 4 infinite minds, because they apply to an immeasurable number of sentient beings. They accrue immeasurable merit, and they bring immeasurable recompense. Loving-kindness is understood to be an antidote for ill will. Compassion is an antidote to feelings that can lead to violence. Sympathetic joy is an antidote to envy and discontent, and equanimity is an antidote to both sensual desire and ill will. Loving-kindness is directed towards all beings whom the practitioners wish to be happy. Compassion is loving-kindness directed towards beings who are unhappy. Sympathetic joy is loving-kindness directed towards beings who are joyful. And equanimity is loving-kindness directed towards all beings equally in all circumstances. Traditionally, one cultivates loving-kindness towards oneself, then friends, then strangers, and then those one has difficulty getting along with, even enemies, and ultimately it is generated towards all beings in all directions. The other 3 are developed similarly with slight modifications. Finally, there are the heavens of the formless realm that can be experienced when one has entered a state of meditative absorption in which all thought, all feeling, and even a sense of mental satisfaction and ease have ceased. There is no distraction. There is only a mind that is even and wholly centered on a single subject of meditation, such as the breath. At that point, one can focus on the 4 formless attainments. They are the spheres of boundless space, boundless consciousness, nothingness, and neither perception nor non-perception. They are referred to throughout Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings. The idea is that first one contemplates the boundlessness of space. Then one realizes that the consciousness that is doing the contemplating is what is truly boundless. And then even consciousness is dropped in favor of nothingness. And finally, one can enter a state in which even the self-conscious perception of nothingness fades away. When Siddhartha Gautama was seeking liberation from suffering after leaving the palace life, he trained under 2 masters of yoga. The first had attained the sphere of nothingness. The second, the state of neither perception nor non-perception. In both cases, Siddhartha realized that neither state was permanent. Neither state put an end to the cycle of suffering. They were merely altered states of consciousness that did not uproot greed, hatred, and ignorance. Naturally, the lower heavens of form and desire are even more impermanent, though subjectively seeming to last forever, until one drops out of them when the causes and conditions that put one in them are exhausted. This concludes my review of the paths of humanity in heaven. Here is what I think we should bear in mind. The path of humanity is an ethical achievement. It is about learning to make good causes and avoid bad causes. But even if we succeed, the reward of a human life is impermanent. The way to the heavens of desire is to be charitable and virtuous and to strive to overcome the 3 poisons of greed, hatred, and delusion as best we can. The way to the heavens of form is to also cultivate boundless loving-kindness, even for our enemies. The way to the heavens of formlessness is to contemplate the boundlessness of space, our own consciousness, nothingness, in a state where even self-consciousness fades away. Even these heavenly states, whether experienced in this life in states of meditation, achieved through chanting or being mindful of the breath, or as a rebirth, are ultimately impermanent and still tainted by the 3 poisons. We can chant to have the insight and ability to make these causes and achieve these states as part of our Nichiren Buddhist practice, but at best, these are just skillful means to help us attain Buddhahood, which is the ultimate goal. It is in these paths that the Buddha's skillful means and non-Buddhist teachings at their best overlap. The Buddha taught people how to achieve these states, and Nichiren himself believed that bodhisattvas could appear as non-Buddhist sages and even non-Buddhist gods, and that in any case, These gods were promoters and protectors of the Buddha's teachings, especially the Lotus Sutra. I now bring this talk to a close. I look forward to your questions and comments. I hope you can join me for the next presentation, in which I will cover the Four Noble States. May the merits of this talk on the Dharma extend universally to all, so that we and all living beings together accomplish the Buddha way.